Came out here, obviously, when I was supposed to do my live stream, found that we had compressor was off on overload. I don't know how many people are new in here. It was burning hot. The pressure control had broken the capillary tube off, and the contactor seemed like it was like stuck. So the compressor was red hot. It took forever for it to reset. I was able to push in the contactor, and I heard the compressor run once it reset, but now I'm just waiting for the solenoid to close. Oh, there it goes. Cool. Here we go. See if this thing starts and runs. It isn't completely horribly bad. There it goes. Pumping. We got suction pressure and discharge pressure, so compressor doesn't sound horrible. It's fan cycle control, so the condenser fan motors, there we go. Wow. What are the odds? This thing isn't bad. It's running. I'm charging it right now too as we're going. That's crazy. So we got a flashing side glass at the moment. So, wow, that's a trip. I can't believe this thing reset. I hope I can make it through the period until which they get the new equipment, because exchanging this for warranty is going to be a nightmare.
This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition. All right, we're doing another walk-in cooler, or actually walk-in freezer install, and this one, because of all the crap they have on their back dock, there's nowhere else to put this, so we had to build the stand over. So heavy duty stand, and then I've only got 2 people here. We're not doing the whole job today, but this condensing unit's a little heavier than I wanted to lift, and I really don't want to hurt myself, so we brought our equipment lift. We're gonna put it on there, lift it up, and slide it over. That should be good. We've got some crossbars we need to run for support because that's a little wobbly, but once we bolt it to the concrete, that'll help too. These units are so chintzy. Like, this crossbar is already bent and just like, this sucks, man. Not a fan of these units. The whole thing's kind of like tweaked. Getting there. We're gonna try to do some of the line set, some of the electrical. So the existing line set is gonna go in this chase right here. You can see that one needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but basically back behind it is the penetration into the walk-in. So the existing one is running on top of the box. So we're gonna go on the side of that. So the idea is the line set's gonna come out, hit the wall, go straight up, go right under that light, and then 90 into the box. And we've got a new coil for it too. The electrical is gonna come just like this electrical from up top and go straight down right here. So we'll probably run some strut right here, you know, just little pieces. I got a couple little pieces. Electrical goes in, then electrical will come out, go into the unit, run across, and we'll just drill holes and go into the electrical panel. This is a 448A installation. So once I put this cross beam right here, it really sturdied this thing up. Super sturdy, and I'm gonna bolt it to the concrete too. I'm contemplating, I'm thinking about it, we'll see, but I'm wondering, I don't know. I just feel like that would be a headache, but if I run a solid bar, one piece all the way across, that would make it a little bit more sturdy. I might do that. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Just for giggles, I went ahead and ran this crossbar right here because I don't want them to be able to stack crap up against it. You know, I know they'll probably still push stuff up there, but at least it prevents them from like pushing these carts and stuff like that. So plus it'll give me a little extra stability too right there. Last thing I need to do is just run this beam across here. I'm gonna go ahead and do that too. All right, moving along. I had a helper with me here earlier today, and he had to go help someone change a compressor, so I'm flying solo now. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do to run electrical. You know, you got to figure out how to improvise. And so the plan is again trying to get as much done today. So we installed a defrost clock. We've got the unit mounted, secured. I bolted it to the ground. It's super sturdy. You know, it has room for vibration, but you know, no big deal, everything's good. We're starting to run electrical. We're not hooking anything up, but like this is gonna be my evaporator right here, and I have just enough to make it to the evap and a little bit extra. So we're gonna go ahead and run the wiring in it and have it ready. If everything goes as planned today, I'm going to have the electrical done and ready to hook up, And I don't know if I'll get to it today or not, but we might run the refrigeration lines. We just run them over to the wall, up right here, and then over and maybe stop right there. And then when we go to change the evaporator coil, we'll just do a piece coming through there, you know, and connect to it or something. We'll see. So this is the condensing unit, and it's gonna go. Looks like they need some insulation issues there, but we're getting rid of it anyways. It's not iced up downstairs or anything, but I'm just running the electrical along, and eventually we'll disconnect the electrical to this condensing unit, and that'll hook up in there. And then, yeah, we'll secure the lines and everything after, make it look pretty, but we can't do much until we cut that line set. Okay, the electrical is done as much as I can. I pulled all the wires running over and extra. I've got enough wire going to that conduit right there, which will eventually go inside the box. Fuses are installed, electrical's all put in inside here, ready to go. We'll get some spare fuses in there too. Conduit's running through here. It's all hooked up and ready to go, as clean as possible. You know, they don't give you a lot of nice stuff in here, but just zip tied everything up. Colors are all figured out right here, so we're basically ready to apply power. So yeah, I am done for today. It's gonna start getting dark, and I don't wanna really get into this refrigeration line stuff, but shouldn't be too hard when it comes time. We'll run it right over there. Secured everything. The unit's nice and safe, nice and sturdy. Has, you know, the rubber vibration absorbers. They act as vibration absorbers, so those will kind of help in earthquakes. But it's nice, structurally supported. Adding those right there really helped. And the important thing is that I wanted to make sure that you can completely access the bottom unit. And you notice how high I went with it. That's because of the electrical for the bottom unit. I didn't want to get in the way of that with the lines or anything like that. So that way we'll have plenty of room to do everything. All right, we're back today. We're gonna go ahead and hang this evaporator coil. So this is what I come back to. Looks like the storage here is doing good. They're not storing that. They got these racks over here. This electrical panel doesn't shut, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we're looking pretty good so far. So got a crew showing up. We're gonna pump down the system, hang the evaporator, and then we'll start opening everything up and figuring out how, you know, it's all gonna work out. So this old hole, they had 2 individual holes, but they didn't have insulation in there, and this is all ice. It's not good. I bet you it's ice down the wall too. We're gonna go ahead and run one common hole and have insulation go straight through the wall. So I had ran the electrical over here for 3-phase, but this panel is just a mess because look at, I'm standing on a chain link fence, and this side is still hot. This side is off at the breaker, but I'm just having to get in here very carefully and do all this work. I'm trying to rip out all the old stuff so the next guy's not as confused as I am right now. We'll get this time clock out of here and everything. So essentially we're just using the breakers in here now. All right, I was able to climb in on top of this electrical panel, get in there and rip out all the wiring. That I ripped all that stuff out that wasn't being used. I still have some 115 volt stuff connected over here, and this is their walk-in cooler circuit. That's their walk-in freezer circuit. I'm gonna get that time clock cover out, and then we'll be done with the electrical up in this part. It's a short enough run that I'm just gonna go ahead and do it with soft copper, and then I just bent it going in, and then we'll maneuver it inside. Once the insulation's on, we'll straighten it up and stuff, and it'll look half-ass decent. Okay, so we got a nitrogen rig set up. We're gonna anneal this pipe because the soft copper just doesn't look good. So we're gonna anneal the hard drawn real quick and make bends on it. So I'm gonna get the nitrogen flowing through it. Needs to get on the braze setting. Okay, nitrogen's on the braze setting. And then I have a general area of where I'm gonna bend it right here. So we're just gonna heat it up to cherry red, let it cool, and then we're gonna bend it. Okay. So now that we annealed it, it'll bend no problem. Perfect. All right, we're gonna braze these valves in real quick. We're not completely done. I'm going up. I stopped right there for the moment because I'm actually gonna use regular soft copper because I gotta really manipulate it to get into that hole. It's kind of an awkward angle and stuff, so. But we're pushing with nitrogen through while we braze. The wet rag did a great job of protecting that valve. You can clearly see the temperature spot. Good job. I still got a little bit more to pull off, but all right, we're getting ready, or we're getting there. A little bit more at a time, or a little bit at a time, I should say. Said it the last time, I don't like these little junk Sanhua valves they put on here, but I'm brazing in the suction line. It's seriously a mess coming into this thing. We'll worry about strapping everything once we get it all secured. Suction line just got put in. We'll strap the sensing bulb right here, and then we got to do the liquid line now. Looks like this guy got a little hot, but then we got to do the liquid line. We got to run it through all the way over there. So see right here, I went with soft copper, so I could swage it. I could have annealed it, and then I bent this. I did a hard 90 here, but then I bent this by hand because it has to come up and do that weird thing to go on top of the line in there. So that's why I went soft in this section right here. Okay, you know, it's not a work of art. There's always stuff you could do better. There's always ways you can make it look better. It is what it is, you know. I did my best with the abilities and the budget that I had, basically. We're getting ready to pressure test it now. So nitrogen's ready. Field piece manifold, hit tightness test. Now, on the tightness test, you can actually put a suction line clamp on too, and it'll help you to see how much it deviates with the temperature. I'm not too worried about that right now. So we'll go ahead and fill it up with nitrogen. We should see it coming up on the low side because I've got a solenoid magnet. There you go. So it's bleeding through because of my solenoid magnet. We're going to get it up to about 120 psi and then let it equalize out and go from there. We shot a little past, but that's cool. I don't want to ruin the expansion valve, so we're not going to go too high. It's not an EXV, but it's a cheap ass valve. We're going to let it sit for a minute before we hit start. Okay, just to let the pressures equalize out because sometimes they still change, and then we'll hit start and then we'll run the timer test. All right, and now it's evacuation time. So we're doing a one hose pull right now against the Schrader. So we're gonna let it run for a while. We passed the pressure test. We're getting ready to foam up the holes and go from there. So this unit comes pre-charged. So I'm really only vacuuming down the line set and the coil. So we're at 449.2. I've already valved it off. There you go. It's actually pushing against the valve. It's probably going to leak, but 449.0. So we're going to let it decay for a few minutes, but we're pretty much done. I'm sure we don't have any leaks. I went ahead and put that cover on to cover up the lines. We sealed the holes with foam. You can see that some of our foam's dripping down. We'll wipe it off here in a minute. So, all right. So yeah, we're holding 449.7 and it's not moving. So we're going to go ahead and release the refrigerant. Okay, because again, this is pre-charged. This guy can handle high pressure, so we're good. Go ahead and take this off now. Good. And we're gonna get ready to start this up and hope we wired everything up correctly. I want to turn on power to this guy. The easiest way is just to disconnect coil voltage temporarily so I can do a phase rotation test. I don't know if they even have it wired correctly here, so to be honest with you, it's not really worth the phase rotation. Every one of these I've been doing, they've been wiring them wrong, so if you line it up ABC, it usually doesn't work. So we're just gonna fire it up and see what happens. So there's a delay, time delay relay right here. And it was set for 5 minutes. I brought it back down. We don't need no 5 minutes. We need like a 1 minute delay. So went ahead and did that. We're just waiting. Let's see. Yeah. So I'm jumping across the delay right now and it's open. So we'll give it another minute, break that delay. Set the defrost. We're just going to do 4 defrosts a day for a half an hour. Okay, and we just started up. I can tell by the way the compressor sounds that it's not running backwards. The phase rotation is correct. We've got very low pressures because more than likely my evaporator fan motors are not running yet. So once the evaporator fan motors turn on, the load will start bringing the suction pressure up. Well, we should be able to notice that, but we're just gonna watch it. All right, they already jammed a bunch of crap in here. These boxes are so small, but oh man, yeah. So we're in, everything's good. We had kind of one of our guys got into a fight with the foam insulation a little bit, but it's all good. So we're just kind of letting this thing run. Lines are down there. It's kind of a crappy like location because it's right in front of the door, but you know, hey, it's all we can do. You know, putting it over here wouldn't really work because they have this this drop down section right there. So all right, it's all finished up. Again, it's like polishing a turd. We had a little insulation come down the wall right there too, but it's fine. We're just gonna let it dry and we'll peel it off later. Line sets in, unit's running, sight glass is clear, coil's running. We tested the defrost heaters, everything's looking good. So they're happy. The only thing I'd like to see different is I'd love to support that, but I'm not gonna go crazy with this right now. We also cleaned up the electrical up top, way up there, and yeah, they're good to go.
So it took forever for us to get that equipment. It was a bunch of crap with the ordering. The customer orders their own equipment, so we just basically install it for them. And that's why I say that I don't like this particular type of equipment. I didn't sell them that equipment. I wouldn't be saying that if I sold it to them, but yeah, so they buy this stuff and then I just install it for them, decide what we need to do. I chose to put that unit on the back dock rather than up on top of that walk-in box, okay? Because the old equipment was sitting on top of the walk-in box and it was just really awkward to get to. And so that's why we had already moved the walk-in cooler equipment down there and then we put the walk-in freezer right over that. And I built another one of those stands like you guys saw. Those things are pretty handy, but I do have to say that Unistrut, by the time you build that stand, it's rather expensive. When you get all the little fittings and the bolts and the little nuts to hold it together and everything, it's very convenient. But man, it's up there, pretty darn pricey. So we went ahead and did the best. Again, the customer doesn't want it to be this perfect shiny thing. I'd love to spend another 2 days making everything on that box perfect and lines straight and all this stuff. But you got to be practical, okay? The customer doesn't want to spend that kind of money. They just want functionality, and they want it to operate and work basically. Honestly, my own pride gets in the way of some of this stuff, and I spend a little bit more time trying to make things look prettier than the customer probably even really wants. So you have to understand that when you're doing these kind of installs, okay? And everything's just basically practicality. I did, rigid pipe or hard drawn, ACR for the liquid line because I couldn't get it straight enough with the soft copper. But I was able to do soft copper for the 7/8 because it was pretty straight and then it was really hidden behind the insulation. So it was no big deal, Nothing really crazy happened with this. There was no real big hurdles. It's really nice when you have the ability to do this over multiple days like I did this one. Most of the installs that I do, you have to do them all on the same day. These walk-in installs from start to finish are usually taking us anywhere from 35 to 40 hours, man hours between, receiving the equipment, loading the equipment, picking up materials, on-site time, follow-up visits and stuff like that. Because a lot of people always ask me like how long these things take, and typically it's around 35 to 40 hours, just depending. Sometimes it goes longer if it's a crazy install, but on the really easy ones, it's usually shorter. Sometimes you can get them down to 30 hours depending on how easy the install is and stuff like that. Another thing is I always try to change the line sets whenever I do these jobs. The customer doesn't spec that we change the line sets, but I'm kind of looking out for their best interest. If we're going to, replace the evaporator and the condenser on the roof, we're going to go ahead and run a new line set too through the attic. I try to utilize soft copper as much as possible. It saves a lot of time. It's just, you got to be careful about using soft copper, especially when you're running in attics and things like that. You want to make sure that it's not going to rub out on anything. Sometimes you have the time to support it. Sometimes you don't, but you just got to make sure that you install it appropriately. Sometimes you can come up with some pretty interesting ways when you're in an attic where nobody's ever going to be again to support them. You can use nylon straps with saddle hangers, and hang it from the ceiling or the ceiling joists and stuff. So there's interesting stuff you can do. But we did a 448A installation, and for those of you that aren't familiar with 448A refrigerant for the medium and low temps, get used used to it because it's coming across the United States right now. California's been on a 448A kick for about a year and a half now, where we have to use it on all of our new installs and retrofit installations. And trust me, it's coming your way. So 404 is out the door when it comes to medium temperature and low temperature installations on reaching coolers and everything. You'll start seeing it bounce. Supermarkets, it's already gone. They already have to go to CO2. There's a lot of new changes coming down the pipeline for global warming potential and stuff like that. So be prepared for that stuff and start reading up on it. It's actually because a lot of people are really jumping on the bandwagon of the 448A equipment right now. We're running into a problem with my customer's supplier actually getting equipment, because now it's more than just California needs 448A equipment. It's really starting to become a big thing in all the restaurants across the country. So in supermarkets and convenience stores and everything. So really appreciate you guys making it to the end. Do me a favor, check out my website, hvacrvideos.com. Merch available. This is my old school shirt design, big picture diagnoses shirt. Hats, beanies, hoodies, all that stuff. It really does help to support the channel. If you guys are considering purchasing any tools, check out truetechtools.com and use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, to save 8% on your order. I get a small commission from that too, so it definitely helps me out. I do live streams Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, work permitting, as long as I can get off work in time. And then I also go live on the HVAC Overtime channel on Friday evenings with my buddies. So there's a link to the HVAC Overtime YouTube channel in the show notes of this video. I really appreciate you guys, and we will catch you on the next one.